Donald Trump released a truly delusional, and I'm going to venture to say deranged video. Now, we're going to get to it, but because we've gotten so used to Trump, I think when I say something like that, you might go, come on, when you see the video. But trust me, pull yourself out of the context you have of Trump and just remember as we watch this video, this is a former president, this is a presidential candidate, and this is someone who's being investigated for multiple different crimes in completely unrelated situations, whether it's his attempts to overturn the 2020 election, his attempts to do a coup. Remember that, like that happened, right? It's just hard to get rid of the context we have and remember how wild all of this is. The documents investigation, the financial business related stuff, and January 6th, and it goes on and on and on. But with all of that in mind, here is him addressing the Biden versus his, document scandals, okay? And he's trying to say, this is the point he's trying to get across. I should not be investigated because Biden did something, and he wouldn't use this language, but the truth, less than I did. Because Biden did something less severe than me, I shouldn't be held accountable for what I did. Very strange. Take a look at this.
At the very same moment when my ultra-secure Mar-a-Lago home was raided by the FBI, Joe Biden was harboring classified documents in his China-funded Penn Center and his unsecured garage. Right on the floor, piles of paper. The floor was probably very wet and damp, as many garages are. Yet,
are y'all's garages wet? Maybe, I don't know.
While I'm being persecuted by Trump-hating special counsel, I call them special prosecutors, but this one in particular, he's a prosecutor and a Trump deranged person. They prosecute all sorts of things. He prosecuted war crimes and war criminals. Joe Biden, in the meantime, is being given white glove treatment by a establishment hack who tried to cover up the Russia hoax. He actually tried to cover it up. It's a travesty. Biden lied to the American people and weaponized the Justice Department, or as I call it, the Injustice Department, to go after me for the very crime he actually committed. And he wasn't president, so he didn't have the right to declassify, as I did. The difference is that while I did...
Yeah, y'all remember? Trump told us he could declassify with his mind. He can just think and documents are declassified. What's funny is that talking point, and we'll watch the last bit in a second here, that talking point has just never made sense because part of the investigation doesn't actually have anything to do with the classification, just the fact that he had the documents regardless of their classification. And it adds insult to injury that they're classified, but regardless, they were asking for those documents, even if he thought that he majestically declassified them with a sniff of the nose.
Did everything right. I did nothing wrong. Biden did everything wrong. The boxers hoax should be dropped immediately against President Trump.
So we're going to watch, just to let the delusion sink in, that last kind of 20 seconds or 15 seconds one more time.
As I did. The difference is that while I did everything right, I did nothing wrong. Biden did everything wrong. The boxers hoax should be dropped immediately against President Trump.
Okay, we got to address a couple things there. Number one, why is he talking about himself in the third person? The boxes case needs to be dropped against President Trump. It's you, dude. Against me would be the proper way to phrase that. But then also we saw on Truth Social, and we've gone over on the show, a similar thought pattern he has, which is, okay, I had the documents, but maybe I didn't and they were planted, but maybe I did and I declassified them with my mind, and we can do that forever. Weird logic there. But regardless, whatever I did or didn't do, I didn't do it. And Biden did something, I'm not exactly clear, but wet garage floors. And and because of those facts that I'm not really that clear on, I should not be investigated, but Biden should. Now, this is what stuns me. The individuals who covered and I mean covered for Trump day after day with his documents scandal, are now turning around and are very concerned about classified documents, when before they're like, what do you mean classified? Nobody cares about classified documents. And now they're saying it is very concerning and we need to look into Biden's classified documents. But then you bring up Trump and again, they're back to the and so I don't know how to process all of that. But again, with Trump, he wants to convince his followers that he's being wronged in the situation. We know that, always the victim. But the reason he's being wronged is what he did, holding hundreds of documents that the National Archives explicitly asked for time and time again, is nothing to be concerned with. And he is being persecuted for this investigation. Biden, for having a handful of documents, which again, if there's wrongdoing, hold him accountable. I have no problem with that. Investigate the Biden documents too. And Biden too. No problem with that. But to continue with Trump's logic, the small handful of documents that right when it was found was turned over to the National Archives, that should be prosecuted. Trump should not. I don't get it. I really do not get it. And the only thing they've landed on now, because all of that didn't really make a whole lot of sense, and he'll keep going with those thought patterns, but the one I hear the most now from other conservatives is, well, Trump was raided and Biden wasn't. And that's why this is all horrible and terrible and awful. And the wild thing about that is I think in just a few seconds you can figure out why that's not an example of a double standard. Trump being raided and Biden not. Because you should ask not just what happened, which is the raid, but why did it happen, right? So yes, Trump was raided and Biden was not. But let's go one layer deeper. Why was Trump raided and Biden not? And I'm not talking to y'all like that. Hopefully, if you're watching my show, you understand where I'm going with this. But pretending as if I'm explaining this to someone who is confused. The reason is because Biden was not obstructing, was not knowingly keeping the documents from the National Archives when the National Archives was reaching out time and time again asking for them, specifically, explicitly. Biden immediately turned them over. So what would a raid be for? Trump didn't. And so after being very patient for months, finally the National Archives had to get the FBI involved to go and do it forcefully. That seems pretty simple to me and actually reasonable. But to so many who live in a world where the man we just saw there is logical, is the strong alpha man, male who's going to save America from the QAnon Democrats, they're very upset about all of this, and it's sad to see. Let me know what you think. Luke P. Beasley on Twitter.